The plea came out trembling, barely louder than the music echoing through the grand daytime ballroom, but it landed like a thunderclap. In a room filled with polished smiles, crystal chandeliers, and people who measured worth in bank balances, one poor girl stood on shaking legs and begged a man she barely knew to pretend to love her, right in front of the man who once shattered her life. It was a moment so raw, so exposed, that time itself seemed to pause, waiting to see whether dignity would finally choose her side. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and stories that heal broken hearts, take a second right now to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel Midnight Tales. Your support keeps stories like this alive. Arohi Mehra had never imagined she would end up in a place like this, surrounded by wealthy strangers in tailored suits and elegant dresses, sunlight pouring in through tall windows as if even the day itself belonged to the powerful. She was only there because her cleaning shift at the hotel had ended early, and a supervisor had asked her to help arrange flowers for a private charity luncheon. Arohi moved quietly, her faded shoes careful on the marble floor, reminding herself to stay invisible. Invisible was how she survived most days. It was safer that way, especially after everything she had lost. Then she saw him, Rishan Khurana, her ex, standing tall, laughing easily, arm linked with a woman dressed in silk, his confidence glowing like it always had. He was the same man who once promised her a future, then walked away the moment her father fell ill and medical bills swallowed her savings. He had called her a burden, a phase he had outgrown. Seeing him again, in daylight, in a room that screamed success, cracked something deep inside her chest. Arohi's breath tightened as memories rushed back. Late nights counting coins, mornings choosing between bus fare and breakfast. The quiet humiliation of being left behind while the world kept moving. She tried to step away, but fate had other plans. That was when she collided with the man everyone else seemed to orbit around. The one whose presence commanded the room without effort. Veer Malhotra, the CEO Millionaire, whose name was whispered with awe and fear, whose companies dominated headlines, whose calm eyes seemed to notice everything. Veer noticed her panic immediately. Not the surface-level clumsiness others saw, but the deeper storm in her eyes. He noticed how her hands shook, how her gaze kept darting back to Rishan, how shame and fear twisted her posture. Veer was a man used to negotiations, to numbers, to power plays, but this was different. This was human, and before logic could stop him, he let her stand there, close enough to borrow his strength. When Arohi realized Rishan was watching them, a cruel smile forming on his face, desperation took over. Her life had taught her how quickly people judged, how fast respect disappeared when poverty entered the room. She could already imagine the whispers, the smug satisfaction in Rishan's eyes. She couldn't bear it. Not today, not in front of everyone. So she did the unthinkable. She begged Veer Malhotra, the untouchable CEO, to act like he loved her. Veer could have stepped back. He could have embarrassed her, questioned her, protected his reputation. Instead, he did something no one expected. He stayed. He placed a steady hand over hers, not possessive, not performative, but grounding. In that instant, the room shifted. People noticed. Heads turned. Rishan's smile faded, replaced by confusion, then disbelief. What began as an act slowly transformed into something deeper. Veer didn't just stand beside Arohi. He made space for her. He introduced her with quiet respect, listened when she spoke, and treated her like she belonged in the sunlight just as much as anyone else there. For Arohi, the change was overwhelming. No one had looked at her without pity or judgment in a long time. No one had made her feel seen. As the afternoon unfolded, Arohi's fear softened into something unfamiliar. Hope. Veer learned about her life in fragments, about her father's illness, her mother's silent strength, her own dreams buried under responsibility. He saw not weakness, but resilience. A woman who had been bent by life, but never broken. And somewhere between polite smiles and stolen glances, Veer realized that this wasn't an act anymore. He admired her courage, her honesty, the way she still believed in goodness, despite everything. Rishan watched it all unravel, his past arrogance exposed under the bright honesty of the day. He tried to interrupt, to reclaim his importance, but his words fell flat. For the first time, Arohi didn't feel small in his presence. She felt free. The power he once held over her dissolved, replaced by clarity. She saw him not as the man who defined her worth, but as a lesson she had survived. As sunlight shifted across the ballroom, Veer made a quiet decision. He didn't promise miracles or offer charity disguised as affection. He offered respect, opportunity, and choice. He reminded Arohi that her value had never been tied to who left her or how little she had. It had always been hers. By the time the event ended, Arohi walked out with her head held high. Not because she had pretended to be loved, but because she finally believed she deserved it. Veer watched her go, knowing that some encounters change you forever, even if they begin as a simple favor. Life didn't transform overnight. Arohi still worked hard, still struggled, still faced days filled with uncertainty. But something inside her had shifted. She stood taller, she spoke with confidence, and slowly real doors began to open, not because of who stood beside her that day, but because she had learned to stand for herself. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you that kindness can rewrite destinies and dignity can be restored in the most unexpected moments, please take a moment to like, share, and engage with this video. Your support means more than you know. Before the ending, a special request just for you. Comment the word hope below if you believe even the most broken moments can lead to beautiful beginnings. And as the daylight faded into memory, Arohi understood one powerful truth. Love, real love, doesn't humiliate or abandon. It uplifts, it protects, and sometimes it arrives disguised as a stranger's kindness, right when you need it most.